And welcome back, and we are now at part 4 of this week's New Comics, bitches! So, you can't see my OCP shirt underneath here. So, Batman and Robin, number 5. The father-son dynamic here has hit full stride. The thing that I've been looking for, the thing that I've wanted most out of this book, and have been getting most out of this book, is, and it's... I love that they're doing that. I really do. I mean, it's a the relationship between Bruce and Damian is obviously strained as it is, because of who Damian was brought up by. But here's a chance for Batman to be a real father, and of course now we have we have Morgan Ducard, who's essentially he's decided to take Damian under his wing to allow Damian to be who we always kind of felt that Damian should be. That he should be someone who stops crime with a very lethal sensibility. And we also learn essentially kind of the origin of Morgan Ducard here. And, it's a very troubled childhood, I would say. I mean, the storytelling and the artwork by Patrick Gleason is super dynamic in this issue. It's really terrific. I mean, and Peter Tomasi's gotten a great handle on this book from the get-go. So, I mean, really good. And I'm glad that they started... I'm just really glad that I started adding this book to my pull list. It's really, really very, very good. It's great. It's certainly a hell of a lot more than I hoped for. Because obviously when this was under... I just kind of thought that, because I think that Peter Tomasi was doing this book before it was, before it was the New 52, after Grant Morrison got off of it, but I was so turned off by everything Grant Morrison kind of had his name attached to that I didn't want anything to do with this book at first, but I'm really glad that I started getting into it because it's there. This book is definitely primed and ready to go. It's definitely one of the best Bat books out there. So this is a 4.5 out of 5. Easy. So, okay, so moving on, we're going to enter the independent territory now. And so we're going to start off with Buffy Season 9, number 5. Now, of course, we've got Slayer Dreams and Stranger Things happening in this issue. The plot doesn't really matter here because what everyone's going to be talking about as far as this issue is concerned is the reveal at the end. Spoiler alert, okay, so if you haven't read it, you might want to pause. I'm gonna put my hand up here to let you know, okay, I'm talking about spoilers now, so if you want to mute, go ahead, and I'll take my hand away when I'm done talking about it. Okay, ready? Here we go. Buffy is pregnant. How she got that way, we don't know, but that is the big thing that people are going to be talking about no matter what. Okay, so I'm done with the spoilers. So, the narration of this issue, it's different. It's a little bit better paced than it has been recently. I like Carl Moline. I like his art a lot. Obviously, he did Frey and has done other issues of Buffy. He's pulling art duty in this issue here, and his stuff's really nice. Anything that's the one thing I should say that's bothersome here is that Buffy and Willow they're hogging all of the affection of Andrew Chambliss. He seems to be very dead focused on talking about just these two. And I know that obviously in the future this becomes a very important thing because Buffy and Willow, or I should say Willow is kind of like the bad. She's the big bad in the future when she comes up against Frey. At least as it was in Buffy Season 8. Anyway, focus needs to shift again to the other Scoobies, because I'm really, really missing Xander and Dawn here. I appreciate what they're trying to tell here, but I'm just missing those characters. They need to be more of a part of this. Another thing is that after reading this book, I read it twice, and it just seems like this book is given a bigger payoff than what the narrative actually granted. What the story was actually telling gets a bigger payoff than what's deserved out of the story. So to me, this was a 3.5 out of 5. It's good, but I'm not really keen on Andrew Chambliss writing this anymore. I'm hoping that sometime soon that we're going to have a new writer stepping in, and obviously this is going to be hopefully beginning of a new arc here. But that's Buffy is it can be really great and it can be really not so great. This is definitely in between. But I'm just glad that it hasn't gone to that really low part at this point. I'm just hoping it doesn't continue to kind of go down. Anyway, okay, so Invincible, number 87. Now there's a lot going on in this issue, and it's all really cool. Because we've got Mark finding himself at odds with the Guardians, with Cecil, with his own, and then with Alan and his own brother, Oliver. I mean, because there's so much going on here, because obviously they want to introduce this virus on Earth that's going to kill all the Viltrumites that are on Earth, because if they're left down there, they'll breed. And Alan being, the head of this, big galactic organization, now he is ultimately thinking long term. But so that's the conflict of ideologies here, is because we have Mark here, who with Dinosaurus is basically he's also trying to think long term. He's trying to think in ways of, okay, well, how can I broke Dinosaurus out because he has some good ideas. He can help the planet. And Alan essentially he's thinking the same thing. I can help the universe by stopping the Viltrumites right here and now. And so I mean, and Kirkman does enjoy putting his protagonists against one another. That's something that he does really, really well. But this is like a really huge, major, big deal here that they're coming head to head on. I mean, it always is for the characters themselves, but I mean, this is like essentially something that could kill all of the beings on Earth. That's going to be a big deal for Mark, and it's going to be a big deal for obviously anybody who's on Earth. So, but then putting him up against Alan and his own brother, this can only end in tears. I mean, it's just that's the only way this can end. This is going to end badly for everybody. Like I said, I mean that thing about the ideologies and conflict here, that Kirkman plays that beautifully, and of course the art, Ryan Ottley, he's just terrific stuff. Art-wise, a really excellent read of issues. This is a 4.5 out of 5. This is kind of the issue of Invincible I was waiting for, because it's really, really good stuff. Okay, so we're getting close here to books of the week here, and yeah, these are going to be my 2 books of the week. This was kind of a toss-up this week, but ultimately I went with what felt the best. And even though, actually, this is kind of also in the company of Amazing Spider-Man 677, we're going to first talk about Last of the Greats, number 5. So, Josh Fialkoff, Brent Peoples doing this tremendous series. I mean, wow. I mean, I still can't get over the fact that, okay, Josh Fialkoff, hadn't heard of him a couple months ago, and all of a sudden he's doing, like, 2 of my favorite comics out there. Period. I mean, just great, fantastic stuff. Just, oh my god. In this issue, especially. This is bound to be a very controversial issue because of its rather extreme depiction of essentially male-on-male rape. But what is more fascinating here is not that, but what the expression is. Is the last, I'm not sure. To me, he's almost childlike in his exploration of humanity. He doesn't get them, but he understands that there are certain fundamental things about them that he hates. But I think that hatred is more or less born out of misunderstanding, and also obviously out of kind of a vengeance. Because all of his brothers and sisters, all of his siblings being killed here, but the fact that he can become his other siblings, like the mother of what's his name? I can never remember his goddamn name, and I feel so bad. So Josh, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but I don't know what what the actual rape is. You know, is it rage? Is it punishment? Or is this actually some kind of misguided affection? To me, this is really, it's more about why it's happening and less about what is happening. And that to me is what's so interesting going on here. So that's, like I said, watching The Last is like, to me, it is like watching almost, this is not quite like a sociopath where he just, he understands but just has no idea of how human beings feel, or he just doesn't feel things like a normal human being would. But it's just there's just fascinating stuff going on here in this issue, and it's a great story, brilliantly told. Fialkov and Peoples, coming together. It's just a great marriage of writing and art here. There's discovery here for the reader as well, and that's what keeps this comic going at such express speeds. Now, here's the thing. Now, after issue 5, this Last of the Greats is going on hiatus. This is according to Fialkov, according to one of the tweets that I read. It's going to depend upon the sales of the trade. I intend upon picking up the trade, even though I already have all the issues. But whether I have them in print or whether I bought them digitally. But I am definitely buying the trade here because I do want to have them all on paper, and I want this book to continue, because this book has to continue. This is a fucking great book. 5 out of 5 for Last of the Greats #4. Absolutely amazing stuff. But ultimately, book of the week, since you haven't heard the name yet, you know it's coming. Severed #6. 5 out of 5. Perfection. Basically what we have here, we have basically the discovery issue. That here is, here's our young protagonist ultimately discovering that the salesman is a killer. And actually does a pretty good job. Jack does a pretty good job of getting away for a while. I really don't want this series to end. I want Scott Snyder and Scott Tuft and Attila Futaki to keep doing this series. I know it's finite. I know it's coming to an end real soon. But I want it to keep going. I have never been this scared reading a comic in my life. I am talking no bullshit here. This is such... It's literally... There's just dread, it's like leaking off the pages. Danger around every turn. You never know what's going to happen next. And then when Jack finally gets to what he thinks is his father's house, and that ending, it is just... It's unbelievably tense, and it's unbelievably frightening, and it's unbelievably perfect. This may very well be the best book on the shelves right now. That's a lot to say about a particular comic, but that's how good this book is. That's how great this book is. This book is fucking magnificent. It has not had an issue that has let me down. It has not had an issue that where I've said to myself, oh, this was okay. No, it's been absolutely fucking brilliant from the word go. I think almost every issue, if it hasn't been a 4 out of 5, it's a 4.5 out of 5, it's been a 5. That's how excellent this stuff is. So, Snyder, Tuft, and Futaki, I hope you team up again to do something like this real soon, because horror comics they need to get good again, and this kind of good is what I'm talking about. So anyway, that's it for this week on the Shadow Gallery. Glad you enjoyed it. Comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe. I've got my fanfic of the Punisher up at my Tumblr account, and that's www.theshadowgallerycomics.tumblr.com. If you follow me on Twitter, I'm Donnelly92274, just spelled like my account is. See it. Shadow Gallery, we're gone. See you next time.